Hey folks, I'm Mike. Do you hate ads? I hate ads. You know what I like? Patreon.com/Inkdependence. It keeps this blog ad-free. Hello folks, today we have a pair of pens, and they are both from a maker that I was not familiar with until I saw them on Instagram from Papier Plume. This is the first of those two pens. Both of these come from a company called Cleo Skribent, and Cleo Skribent is a German company. You can see it says made in Germany here. Let's see if I can get some light fixed. There we go. You can see it says made in Germany right here. There's actually not much branding on this pen when it comes right down to it. It says Cleo Skribent Germany around the sort of the waist, I suppose, and then it's got a C with a square in the middle, and that's kind of it for this pen. The back is unadorned. The rest of the body is nice and clean. The clip is clean. It's a very nice, sort of classy looking pen. It also looks a little bit futury, a little bit spacey to me. You can get these in polished metal, or you can get them in this matte finish. I actually really like this matte. I think this looks good, and it's going to be very difficult to damage, I think. It's all aluminum top to bottom, so it's got that going for it. It's got a little bit of weight to it. This is not a particularly light pen, so if you're looking for a light pen, this ain't it. And you get these nice little pops of color. It comes in several different colors. You can get it like this, and a maroon, and a few others. And that's pretty cool. I really like the pop of color. I'm glad they gave me a blue one to play with, because that's the one I like the best. And here's the thing that really stands out when you see it on the Instagrams, and that is, right here, the nib is actually painted. So this is painted to match the body accent color on all of these pens, and I think it's a really cool thing to do. Now it looks a little bit like, I mean, if you put blue ink in this pen, and I actually did, it makes it look just a little bit like, like it's got, I don't know, like ink on the nib or something like that. Like it might be just some sort of nib creep that's crept into crevices or something, but it is definitely not. This is definitely painted, and I think that's pretty cool. It's all hand painted apparently, and the grip on here is very nice. It's smooth and it's metal, but it's not like it's not a slippery kind of metal. I don't really know how to describe it, but it feels different from the rest of the barrel. It's not rough, but it definitely does have a little bit of grip to it. And you get a little bit of a, as you can see here, perhaps a little bit of a saddle there that your fingers fit right into naturally. That's pretty nice. It is a little bit skinny at that saddle, but not bad. It's like 9 millimeters right here, and it goes up to 11 here. So you get a nice swing from 9 to 11 millimeters in diameter. And really, I like around 10 or 11, so this is kind of perfect for me. I tend to grip it up a little bit higher, and that feels great. So, very nice pen in the hand. You can post these pens. And the cap is not particularly heavy for a metal pen. Most of the weight is actually right here, which makes me wonder if maybe there's like a bit of brass or something inside. But if there is, I don't know where it would be because I haven't found it. So unless it just happens to be right here in the section, I don't know. It does come with a converter and cartridge and all that sort of jazz, I believe. You can check those details out on the website. Make sure. Yeah. This actually has a screw-in converter, so that's actually pretty nice. Pretty nice. But I don't see any difference in the metal inside. It's very difficult to tell on the inside of a pen, of course, but I don't really see any difference. All I know is that it's, screw that back in. There we go. Man, I love a screw-in converter. And especially at this price point, I think that's a really nice feature. You don't see that too often. The price point for this, by the way, is about 110 bucks. So not a super cheap pen, but also not particularly expensive when it comes to nicer pens that are especially imports and this kind of thing. I don't know who makes the nibs for them. They don't look like nibs that I've seen from other makers. So they're not your standard Box and Yovos, although they might be a Bach or a Yovo. I mean, there aren't too many nib makers out there, but these are definitely customized by Clio. They've got all kinds, like they've got this little like jagged swoosh thing going in the side here. They've got the C with the square in the middle, all that jazz. Otherwise, it just says, what does it say? Yeah, it just says Cleo Skribent medium on there, a little M for medium. This is a medium nib on this one, and I actually like it a lot. It's got a really nice feel to it. So let's look quickly at the other pen in this set. Oh, and also it is, of course, a friction fit cap. You can hear that it's got a nice little pop to it when you put it in. Definitely feels affirmative. It's not coming out. There we go. So it actually takes a bit of force to uncap it. I've had this in my my shirt placket and that kind of thing quite a lot, and it's never had any problems with uncapping itself. The clip is a little bit maybe a little bit flimsy. If I had to make a knock against this pen, it would be that the cap or the clip actually feels a little bit flimsy, but it doesn't feel like it's going to break. It feels like it's got good spring to it. It hasn't worn out in my usage. I've had this since the Dallas Pen Show, since right around my birthday in September, and I've been using it, quite a bit. And its partner pen. Although I generally do carry this one more. Let me show you this other pen right quick. And that is this one. This one is a step up the chain for Clio. And it says Clio here on the cap band. As you can see, around the back it says made in Germany. We've got a bit of ornate like action here on this like clip band up at the top. You've got the C with the square in it logo, which is nice. You've got this down here, which is actually how it posts. It screws onto post. And the rest of it is just a very nice acrylic, like sort of a snowy kind of acrylic. They make this in this acrylic and one that looks a little bit browner to me, and you'll find those on the Papier Plume website, and also you'll see it in a black. And actually, I almost got the black because I thought the black looked really cool, but Renzo and Audrey were both like, "No, you got to get that white. The white is way cooler." So I went with the white. And as it turns out, I was right. I don't like the white as much as I would like the black. For whatever reason, just it doesn't call to me as much. But I do, it's really nice. And I like that I can't see through the plastic. Sometimes you get these acrylics and they have a chatoyance to them or whatever, but then they've made them too skinny, and then the walls are too thin, so you can see the converter or you can see the nib up the top. And actually, that's ruined a lot of these kind of like demonstrator pins for me, because I want it to be either a full demonstrator or I want it to be obvious I'm supposed to see the internals or not. Like the Pelican Renaissance Brown just doesn't do it for me because I can see through the cap a little bit, and I don't know why, but it weirds me out. I don't like it. The clip on this one is definitely a little bit stronger than the one on the other Clio pen. They are fairly similar shapes. There we go. Kind of a normal looking clip. Like there's nothing real distinctive about it, I don't think, but it is pretty nice. And they're both very functional. No problems with using them. Inside this one, and what puts it at a higher price point along with the acrylic and such, is that it does have a gold nib. This one is 14K. As you can see, let me get a little way closer here. As you can probably see there, this is a two-toned gold nib. It's actually a very nice two-tone. I believe you can see it. It's actually kind of hard for me to see on my screen. I'm having an issue with it. There we go. That's a little bit better. You can see that the C and these little swooshes off to the side are in different gold tone, and the rest of the nib is silver. I really like the two-tone action. In fact, I really like that on all the pens that do that. I like it especially on like the Sailor, the tritone nib, which is really just two tones, but whatever. This does the same kind of thing, but with the C and with the swooshes. And I think that's pretty neat. This is a much smaller pen compared to the Color. It is a smaller pen by about a nib. So, it's got about the same girth in the diameter. Both of these are between 11 and 9 millimeters in the diameter. So they're kind of similar in that way, but they feel different in the hand. This one's definitely a lot lighter, and that's because it's acrylic and not full-on aluminum. You can see there are metal threads in there. Like, you're not going to want to, don't eyedropper this pen. I think that would be a bad idea. Of course, I think eyedropping is generally kind of a bad idea, but whatever. And this one does not have a threaded converter, so, it's got that as a difference. But it is a very nicely made pen. I don't have any complaints about the fit and finish of this guy. I didn't find myself carrying it as much. Also, the nib on this is a very, very smooth nib, this 14K. Like it really has got that sort of, hot knife through butter or like skating on glass sort of feel to it. And I like to feel a little bit of the nib on the page. And so this nib isn't my favorite, but not because of any problems. It just, I just tend to like to feel the nib a little bit more. So I don't like writing on Clairefontaine. It gives me that feeling with most pens. I like a little bit more tooth. And so this one is a very smooth nib. So if you like a nice smooth nib, this will be right up your alley. Okay, so here are some stats that I wrote. Let's go ahead and zoom in just a skosh. Over here we have the Color. Get this over here. And then here we have the Aura, the Cleo Skribent Aura. And so the price difference on these is actually pretty extreme. The Aura is a 245 pen, and Cleo's Color is at 110. So there's a big price difference there. But you do go from a steel nib up to a 14K nib, and also the steel nib is enameled, which is really nice to match the barrel. This one is made of precious resin. Well, we've got another company that's going with precious resin, another German company going with precious resin. Scandalous. And it's got the two-tone nib. Size-wise, they're not terribly different. This one's a little bit heavier, but it's not that much heavier. It feels heavier in the hand than a 0.4 ounce difference, but, you know, whatever. Diameters are about the same at the section. Posted and unposted, uncapped, all this sort of thing. You've seen those there. So there you go. Okay, so let's take a look at these pens next to some others. I will be right back. Okay, so here we have our two Cleo Skribent pins right here in the middle, alongside a couple of other things that are around the same price range. 110 is actually a tricky price range. There aren't terribly many things in that price range. So we've got here the franklin-christoph 45. This is a pocket pen. We've got our venerable Lamy 2000 right here, then the Cleo Skribent Color, the Cleo Skribent Aura, the Sailor Pro Gear. This is the regular standard Pro Gear size, not the slim. And then here we have one of the Platinum 3776s. Now this is the Shungyo. It's a little bit more expensive at 200 bucks. A little bit less expensive than the Aura. A little bit less expensive than this one. This one's actually like 250, 265, I think is what the Pro Gear goes for generally, so it's a little bit more expensive than the Aura. So these are definitely, I think, good price comparisons. The Lamy 2000, the price is very wildly. You can get them between, I don't know, 115 and 150, depending on source and country and nib and all kinds of things. So, you know, and then, of course, the 45 is a little bit cheaper, but it's around the same price. So there we go, a variety of sizes and things to compare with. This is actually a very long pen when it's capped. It's longer even than the Shungyo here. But the Cleo Skribent Aura, it's right about exactly the same size as the Pro Gear. So if you like the Pro Gear size, you're really going to like the Aura size. Let's go ahead and uncap these. All right, there you go. So these have all been posted now. All of these pens post, by the way. And oddly, even though it's a smaller pen, the Clio Aura doesn't post nearly as deeply because it screws on, so it doesn't have to post very deeply. And so you end up with a much longer pen. So in hand, I don't really like to post the Aura because a lot of weight is back here with this big cap band and the fatter cap. I generally like to use it unposted because it is a very long pen when you post it. By contrast, the Color actually feels very nice posted, and it's a good length, and this posts very deeply. So let's go ahead and show you how deeply that posts. There we go. So a lot of coverage. It also posts nice and securely. It's not going to fall off. Okay, so let's look at these with where they're unposted and uncapped. Okay, so here you have all the pens unposted, uncapped, just the barrel of the pen and the nib. And of these now, the Clio Color is definitely the longest, a little bit longer than our Lamy 2000s and our Pro Gears and our Aura and the 3776. These are all right about the same. So sometimes it's hard to imagine how long a pen is. Even like I always think of the 3776 being a much longer pen than it is. It's not a particularly huge pen. It's got a big cap and such, but they're all right around the same length. And then you got the Color, which is quite a bit longer. And then down here, a little pocket pen guy. Okay, so let's clean this up and then we'll do a writing sample. Okay, so I'm going to do the writing sample side by side on the same piece of paper that I used for the rest of the writing stuff. This is a Mamosini pad from Moraman, and they have really great paper. If you haven't tried these papers, definitely check them out. You can find them in many places. All right, so let's start out with the Cleo Skribent Color, and here's that beautiful blue lacquered nib again. I'm going to use one of the quotes that I've used before, which is just this. Oops, been out too long. There we go. Have fun storming the castle. And this is written with a medium nib, of course. Here it is with the Cleo Skribent Aura. Making sure it works right quick. There we go. Sometimes when I'm waving these around for a long time and filming, they do dry up just a little bit. That's not the pen's fault. As you can see, these don't have any problems writing a little bit quickly. I tend to write a little bit on the fast side, give it a few little squiggles. I haven't really had any skipping problems or hard start problems or anything like that from either of these Clio pens. They've both behaved rather well. There you go. They do tend to be, well, this one tends to be a little bit on the drier side. So this is Robert Oster's Frankly Blue, which I just posted a review for not too long ago. And you can see a little bit of the characteristic Robert Oster, sheen there, but not a whole lot because it's a little bit on the drier side. This one, however, seems to be a little bit on the wetter side, and this ink just kind of follows it around. This is Soft Snow of O'Hara. Okay, so this has been the Cleo Skribent Color and the Cleo Skribent Aura. Both of these are lovely pens. You can find them at Papier Plume in New Orleans, Louisiana. Go there, tell them I said hi, check out their website, and I will see y'all later. Peace out. All right. Hey folks, today we have yeah. Oh, I've been recording. Whoops.